So, this is our first time talking together.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of start in the beginning. You grew up in L.A.
Yeah, I grew up all over LA.
Okay.
I've been to 12 different schools.
12 different schools?
Yeah,
Well,
in the LA area.
Why'd you move around so much? You got in trouble in the schools?
Me and my mom moved around. In the beginning of my life, my parents lived together. Then around 4, they split.
Okay.
I went with my mother. We went all over LA. And then when I got a little older, I started getting kicked out of schools and, certain things like that. But, yeah, 12 different schools, man.
Okay. Now, you're actually part of a very famous family.
Yes.
And that is?
The Gordys.
The Gordys. Now, how exactly are you connected to Berry Gordy?
Berry Gordy is my grandfather.
Okay.
So my dad is the oldest boy. The youngest boy is Stephen, who you guys know as Red Foo.
Okay.
That's my uncle. And so I'm the grandson.
So LMFAO is the grandson. So is the grandson and son of Berry Gordy.
Yes, sir.
So your partner in LMFAO is your uncle.
Yeah. Red Foo. Shout out to Red Foo.
Well, how far apart are you in age, though?
He's 11 years older than I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that come together? How do you form a rap group with your uncle? Like when you say it out loud, it sounds crazy a little bit. Like, me and my uncle go have a rap group.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, Foo's always, ever since I was a kid, we would always hang out, and he was like my older brother. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He always teach me about girls, and he'd teach me about rapping, and he was in this group called RFDK, called Red Foo and Drake Croon back in the day. And it was like backpack rap, but they were known, in the area doing the knitting factory and stuff. And yeah. I think Eminem actually opened up for them, like back in the day. So he was like, he was a little bit established.
Eminem opened up for Red Foo.
Yeah, before black hair Eminem, before the white hair,
right?
Hair, whatever.
Before Dre found him.
Yeah, before Dre.
Okay. Exactly. So wasn't Red Foo signed to somebody at some point?
I think Bubonic Records, some record company. I don't know. Well, I was a big fan. I just didn't know, I was listening to the music and learning how to rap through his patterns and things,
Okay.
Yeah, so
he did his hip hop thing.
Mm-hmm.
Never really blew up.
Not like he wanted it to.
Not like he wanted it to.
Yeah.
Known in LA, but not.
Yeah. Not worldwide. Not worldwide.
Not worldwide. And then you guys decided to form a rap group together?
Yeah, I was getting into battle rapping when in high school. Around like 10th grade, 11th grade, I always wrote poetry. And like I was saying, Tupac was one of my biggest idols, along with Foo. And one day we were at this Christmas party at the family crib at my grandfather's house. And, they started playing, they had like a band playing, and then I started freestyling. And then, Foo started freestyling, and, a couple of my cousins. But Foo and I had this kind of thing where, he knew that I kind of had a pocket, and I understood, like, where to come from when you're rapping and things like that. And so, when I was coming up, I thought I was going to be one of the hardest rappers in the game. You know what I'm saying? I was hanging out with my boys, in L.A. I'm coming up in L.A. around a lot of, like, different strong people, like different strong men who are spiritual, other strong men who are gangsters, other strong men who are businessmen. Mm-hmm. And so I started learning from these kind of individuals, and that's where the energy I exuded,
Okay.
And then I started learning from Foo, who's a very fun and happy guy. And so, I had this whole mixture of emotions when I would make music. And then when I started hanging with Foo, he started really teaching me the ways of music making. We were both like solo artists in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And but I really secretly wanted to be in a group with him, but I felt like he was in his own vibe. He even made I'm in Miami, Bitch, which is one of the first LMFAO records before we formed a group. And so it was always something I wanted to be in a group with him. And then one day I made a song called I'm Leaving You for the Groove. And he was so blown away how different it was. He's like, yo, we should form a group together. And that's how LMFAO came to be.
Okay.
I made this song about leaving some girl.
Now, with you guys being related to Berry Gordy,
mm-hmm.
who is, you could say, one of the greatest A&Rs of all time in terms of discovering, legendary talent.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Motown records, Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, Smokey Robinson. I mean, Diana Ross.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you're talking the Temptations. You're talking
Everybody.
about mega stars. And Motown Records is still around.
Yeah.
As an entity still under Universal. Like, how involved was Berry Gordy in the music that you and your uncle were doing?
The family usually pushed us away from music because, they said the business wasn't like it used to be, or, it wasn't for people. They didn't want us to be in the music industry.
Really?
Yeah, they wanted us to be like lawyers, go to college. I dropped out of high school. I don't even have a GED. I think Foo got a GED, but he dropped out too. We're the black sheep of the family, kind of. Did our own thing, very, expressed ourselves and were funny and class clowns. But, he always inspired us with wisdom. You know what I'm saying? He gave us wisdom, but he never told us to do music, And so when he started seeing us being successful, and he was like, wow, you got to follow your heart. And so then he understood that we really were about this music thing. You know what I'm saying? It was something that was coming through us and coming to us. And so when he started seeing that happening, he started really, supporting and being like a #1 fan, wearing the glasses and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
So has he ever helped you out actually with the music itself?
No. Actually, though, of recent, last 2 years, me and him have become really close friends. And just talking about music and understanding where his mind is when he's creating things. I mean, he's one of the sharpest cats. He still plays tennis today. I mean, the man's amazing,
Well, I remember during Michael Jackson's funeral, and I remember the most memorable part of that whole funeral was when Berry Gordy got up on stage, and he said, he called, Michael Jackson called himself the King of Pop, but that wasn't the right title. It should be the greatest entertainer of all time. And when Berry Gordy said that, no one disputed it.
No,
it was, to say such a statement of that caliber, to call someone the greatest entertainer of all time, and everyone said, okay, yeah, I agree with that. I'll co-sign that. Mm-hmm. Says a lot about Berry Gordy as well as Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And that was an amazing moment, I thought.
Yeah, I think that, that was funny, man. I mean, the reason why it takes me back when you said the Michael Jackson funeral, because me and Foo just got off of a news broadcast. We had some interview, and we wanted to make it, It's at, Staples Center. And so we wanted to go sit with the family, which is up close with everybody. And we're all dressed in LMFAO gear, and they wouldn't let us up.
They wouldn't let you to the funeral?
Nah, they wouldn't let us up because we look crazy. We look absolutely crazy. But I remember my grandfather saying that, and, for somebody to captivate the world like Michael Jackson did, I even have, his tattoo right here of his legs doing the, I think this was his publishing logo or something. Yeah. But, he's he had captivated the world, man. He did so many things and so many songs that really resonated with people. That's it's crazy, And it's crazy to be, in the presence of people that were a part of his starting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Absolutely. So, you guys form LMFAO as a group.
Yeah.
#1, how long did you guys work on the group before you got your first record deal?
I don't know. The thing was, it wasn't like we were going for a record deal. We were just living this lifestyle, which was, party rock. You know what I'm saying? We went and did clubs 3 times a week, and people didn't know who we were, didn't know our music, and we just get up there, yo, what up, we LMFAO, Blu and Red Foo, yeah, okay, we gonna bust a couple songs off for y'all right quick, blah, blah, blah. And I remember even getting in fist fights while I'm rapping, because people like, who is this?
Get off the mic.
Hey, yo, man, my girl wanna say something on the mic. Nah, man, I'm rapping, man, back up. That is crazy, so many things, but we finally met, who was it, Deluxe and Eric Deluxe and Big Syph.
Okay.
And they took Miami Bitch, and they were the first ones to play it on the radio. And then after that, we made a remix to Clumsy, which was Fergie's record. And that started getting played on the radio. And we started making certain remixes, like Kanye's Love Lockdown, and started getting a lot of attention. And we went over to UK. We went to the UK to get signed by one of the record labels over there that affiliated with Universal. Mm-hmm. And long story short, I think this was like a year and a half or 2 years after we started the group. Foo and Will.i.am have a close relationship since high school. Mm-hmm. And Will.i.am signed us by way of Jimmy Iovine. So Jimmy Iovine, he was the one that called the record label in the UK and said, you can't do the deal. We want to sign the guys in Interscope. Okay. You know what I mean? And we're like, oh, snap. You know, it was crazy going to sit in his house, and it's Jimmy Iovine. He's like, yeah, I like you guys. I got something to you, you know? And so I think it was like 2 years after the group started, we signed.
Okay. So you signed to Interscope Records.
Yeah.
Miami Bitch comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And LMFAO is in the game.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a blur, man. It was like a blur because we were partying every night. We're performing and every night. And if not, we're creating something. We're making something. So we're always in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like you sat back and like, all right, we're in the game. You know, to me, that whole time just felt like one long party. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was crazy. It was crazy how intense it got. You know, from partying just in LA, going to West Covina at the Crazy Horse. Oh man, Crazy Horse, we got it sold out, it's popping, you know what I'm saying? The Roxy, now the Roxy's popping. And then a few years later, it's the Staples Center. It's like, damn, you know?
But as far as just rapping and being able to put words together and flow and say what you want to say and make it rhyme, he's definitely one of the nicest when it comes to that.
Would you say he's the king of hip hop?
Nah, I wouldn't say that because I'm in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. You know what I'm saying?
I said for some reason I feel like some of them motherfuckers is just renting the house to do that shit, and find out some of them was. I can't do that. You know, I ain't want to do that. I wanted to show where the fuck I was living at the time.